So we're going to work on learning about constructors. Constructors are a way of making lists, sets, or dictionaries in a different manner than we've been working with. If we look at over here, you can see I made a list the way we've been doing it. It's got a group inside it. We have another blank list here, and then we append some items to it. Sure enough, if we run that and it prints them, you can see the two lists have been created. We then create a tuple. You can see we have the parentheses rather than the square brackets here that we use for the list. And then we use the list constructor here on line 26. Send it the tuple, and out will pop a list. And sure enough, we do that. Out pops a list. Notice it now has square brackets, not the parentheses. We can also get a list if we have an input command. We put some spaces. If the input command using the split method on the string will split it using wherever the spaces are into a list. So then we use the list command, the list constructor, to make a list. And if you listened carefully, you would have heard me say the split command makes a list. And sure enough, it makes a list. So if we just use the split command and send it straight to a list, we'd end up with the same list as if we used the list command, which is the first thing we need to think about. When we first hear about the constructors, we go, "Ooh, this is really cool," but many times you end up with a list out of something else, so you don't really need the list constructor. It is useful, and sometimes it's the only way to go, but a lot of times it doesn't really help us very much. And again, just to demonstrate, we end up with a list. This is a list there. If we're going to do constructors with dictionaries, again, we've been doing a dictionary with the curly braces, and we do key value, key value, key value, key value. Or we make a blank dictionary and then add the items individually using the key and then the value. If we use the dictionary constructor, we use key equals value, comma, key equals value, comma, key equals value. Now we've also been able to do it this way, which is key value, key value, key value without all the equal signs. But this uses the constructor and this does not. But they both work. If you have your data in this format, use the constructor. If you don't, use this. Now, there are other ways you might want to use the constructor, but we'll save that for a little bit later. But sure enough, if we run this, they all end up being dictionaries. And of course, even this last one's still a dictionary. So again, constructors seem real exciting. And then you're like, I don't really need constructors, do I? You do, but not as often as you might think. All right, let's look at some constructors using sets. We make a list and we make a set. Notice this is a set. It's not key value, so the curly braces denote a set, not a dictionary. And then we print them. And sure enough, when we run it, we get the list and the set. And then we can create a set this way, right? We have the curly braces and we have some values inside. So we do 8. And sure enough, we have another set with our values inside, which is similar to doing this, except it's now using strings rather than numbers up here. Now, if you look down here, we have another way of making a set. We do set, and then we send it the same values that we did inside the curly braces. But guess what? If we get to that point, it blows up. And it blows up because the set constructor wants a single group. Now, what kind of group do we have? A list. So instead of using single curly braces, we have to take this, enclose it in square braces, then put it inside the parentheses for the set, and then we end up with a set. I think this seems a whole lot easier. But again, if you have a list, this is a good way to make a set out of it. But you go from an ordered list to an unordered list. Usually you're going to a tuple rather than a set when you already have a list. But, sometimes you might want to do that. So let's comment this out and we'll keep moving. So we'll run it again. We won't get the error this time because we have commented it out. And we have our new set here, which is the same set we made earlier. But now notice that we made this set here. We can use the set and then just send it the list we made. So if we take this list and use the set constructor and send it, we can get a list that works for us quite well. And those are the constructors. Useful sometimes. Sometimes you need them for sure, but many times you probably won't be using them.